Ambassador Kethver stood at the observation deck of Nexus Prime, watching the endless stream of ships moving through the trade lanes. The massive space station served as the heart of galactic commerce, where thousands of vessels arrived and departed every day. But something felt wrong. For the past 3 days, Kethver had noticed fewer human cargo ships in the shipping lanes. At first, he thought it was just a scheduling issue. Human traders were always punctual, sometimes arriving early for their delivery slots. Their absence was unusual. "Computer, show me human shipping traffic for the past week," he said to the station's AI system. The holographic display appeared before him, showing bright lines representing ship movements. The human routes, usually shown in blue, were noticeably thinner than normal. Kethver frowned as he studied the data. "Compare this to the same period last month," he commanded. The difference was striking. Human shipping had dropped by 60% in just 7 days. No explanation, no emergency broadcast, no requests for alternate routes. The ships had simply stopped coming. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Jake Morrison stood in the underground command center known as Control Base 7. The facility had been built in secret over the past 15 years, hidden beneath the mountains of Colorado. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing the progress of Operation Quiet Dawn. "Status report," Jake said to his deputy, Colonel Sam Parker. "Phase 3 is complete, sir. The last civilian transports left Luna Base 2 hours ago. Military evacuation begins in 6 hours. Jake nodded. The operation had been planned for decades, ever since the Galactic Council had started treating humans as second-class citizens. The final trigger had come 3 months ago when the Council stripped humans of their voting rights and demanded access to all human technology. The Council claimed it was for galactic security. Jake knew better. They wanted human AI research and quantum jump technology. When humanity refused, the Council had labeled them a probationary species and threatened economic sanctions. Dr. Lisa Martinez entered the command center, her face showing the strain of the past weeks. As head of evacuation coordination, she had managed the logistics of moving 50 million people across 17 star systems without anyone noticing. "The last medical supplies are being loaded onto the ARC ships," she reported. "We're taking everything we can carry: medical equipment, research data, genetic samples, cultural archives." "What about the infrastructure we're leaving behind?" Jake asked. Lisa's expression darkened. "The atmospheric processors, the terraforming equipment, the AI systems that run half the galaxy's trade networks. We're not destroying them, but we're not leaving maintenance manuals either." Jake understood. Humanity had quietly become essential to galactic civilization. Their technology kept toxic worlds habitable. Their AI systems managed supply chains. Their medical research had saved millions of lives. The Council had taken it all for granted. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Ryan Burke prepared his ship for the final jump out of Council space. The massive ARC ship, New Earth, carried the last remnants of human presence in the galaxy. Its cargo holds contained backup copies of every human achievement, from literature to scientific research. "Final passenger count?" he asked his first officer. 12,000 souls, sir. Scientists, artists, historians, engineers. The best and brightest who volunteered to preserve human culture. Ryan looked at the star map on his screen. Their destination was a cluster of unexplored systems beyond the galactic rim. Human deep space explorers had discovered them 5 years ago and found them perfect for colonization. Rich in resources with several habitable worlds and completely unknown to the Council. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a priority message from Control Base 7. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the screen. "Ryan, you're authorized to transmit the farewell message. Make it simple." Ryan nodded and opened a channel to the Galactic Council headquarters. "This is Captain Ryan Burke of the human vessel New Earth. Humanity is withdrawing from galactic civilization. We thank you for the years of cooperation and wish you well in your future endeavors." End transmission. The message was broadcast across the galaxy, reaching every major trade station, every council facility, every news network. Then as the new Earth jumped to hyperspace, the last official human presence in Council space disappeared. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Kethver received the message with disbelief. He immediately contacted the Council emergency line. "This is Ambassador Kethver. I need to speak with the High Counselor immediately. The humans have just broadcast a withdrawal message." The response came quickly. "The High Counselor is in emergency session. All department heads are to report to the council chambers within the hour." As Kethver rushed toward the council chambers, he passed through the station's commercial district. Already, he could see the effects of the human departure. The human-owned shops were closed, their automated systems shut down. The restaurants that served human food had gone dark. Even the small details were disappearing. At the council chambers, chaos reigned. Representatives from 47 species were talking at once, their voices creating a cacophony of confusion and anger. High Counselor Threndos called for order. "The situation is clear. The humans have abandoned their responsibilities to galactic civilization. They will return when they realize they cannot survive without Council support." But even as he spoke, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Human colonies in 17 star systems had gone silent. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply empty. The colonists had packed up and left, taking their technology and knowledge with them. Trade Administrator Zeftok stood up, his forearms gesturing frantically. "High Counselor, we need to understand the scope of this departure. Human merchants handle nearly 20% of galactic trade. If they're gone, we're looking at massive supply chain disruptions." "How massive?" Threndos asked. "Sir, humans transport food to 12 worlds that cannot produce their own. They manage the shipping routes for mining operations in the Outer Rim. Their AI systems coordinate cargo manifests for half the galaxy's trade networks." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just been participants in galactic civilization. They had been its backbone. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Foreman Grextel was discovering this truth firsthand. The atmospheric processors that kept the toxic world breathable had started showing error messages. The maintenance protocols were coded in human technical language, and none of his Keplerian engineers could understand them. "Try the backup systems," he ordered. His chief engineer, Velkos, shook his head. "The backups are even more complex. The humans designed them with quantum encryption. We cannot access the control codes." Grextel realized with growing horror that his entire operation depended on human technology. Without the atmospheric processors, the mining colony would become uninhabitable within days. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. On research stations, in manufacturing facilities on terraformed worlds, the absence of human technology and expertise was becoming clear. The humans had not just been traders and colonists. They had been the engineers, the problem solvers, the innovators who kept galactic civilization running. Dr. Ben Carter, now aboard the human colony ship, knew. Horizons watched the stars change as they jumped toward their new home. Around him, other humans worked to set up their new government, their new society. They were not running away. They were starting over. "Captain," he said to the ship's commander, "do you think they'll figure out what they've lost?" Captain Amy Rodriguez smiled grimly. "They will. The question is whether they'll figure it out in time to save themselves." The human exodus was complete. 50 million people had quietly left the galaxy, taking with them centuries of accumulated knowledge, technology, and expertise. They had departed without violence, without threats, without demands for recognition. They had simply gone, and the galaxy was already beginning to feel the consequences of their absence. 3 months had passed since the human exodus, and the galaxy was beginning to understand what it had lost. Trade Administrator Zeftok sat in his office on the commercial hub of Vega Station, staring at numbers that made no sense. "Run the calculations again," he told his assistant, a young Altarian named Kickstal. "Sir, I have run them 6 times. The results are the same. Galactic trade volume has dropped by 17%. Food deliveries to outer colonies are delayed by an average of 12 days. Manufacturing output has decreased by 22%. Zeftak's forearms trembled with frustration. How is this possible? The humans were just one species among 47. Sir, they were not just traders. They were the coordinators. Their AI systems managed shipping routes, optimized cargo loads, and predicted supply demands. Without them, we are flying blind. The truth was becoming clear across the galaxy. Humans had not just participated in galactic commerce. They had made it efficient. Their computer systems had quietly revolutionized trade. Their logistics expertise had eliminated waste. Their predictive algorithms had prevented shortages. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Foreman Grextall faced his worst nightmare. The atmospheric processors had failed completely 2 weeks ago. His entire mining operation was now dependent on emergency life support systems that were never meant to run long-term. Status report, he said to his chief engineer Velkos. The emergency generators are at 40% capacity. At current usage, we have maybe 10 days of breathable air left. The evacuation ships can take half our workers, but we cannot abandon the mining equipment. Grextall looked at the massive machines that extracted rare minerals from the toxic planet. Each one was worth millions of credits. Losing them would bankrupt his company and put thousands of workers out of jobs. What about the backup atmospheric systems? Sir, we have tried everything. The quantum encryption on the human systems is impossible to break. We sent messages to every tech company in the galaxy. None of them can help us. The mining foreman realized that his entire operation had been built on human technology. The atmospheric processors, the air recycling systems, even the water purification plants. All of it designed by humans, maintained by humans, and protected by security codes that only humans understood. Meanwhile, on the research station Babel 7, Dr. Yithkar was making a discovery that would shake the medical community. The brilliant Thaxian scientist had been working on a cure for the plague that was spreading through the Outer Rim colonies. Computer, access the cancer research files from the Human Medical Database, she commanded. Access denied. Human Medical Database has been permanently locked. Dr. Yithkar stared at her screen in disbelief. For the past year, she had been building on human genetic research to develop new treatments. The revolutionary cancer cure that had saved millions of lives was based on human discoveries about cellular regeneration. Computer, show me the synthesis protocol for the cancer treatment. Protocol not found. Source files have been removed. The realization hit her like a physical blow. The humans had not just contributed to medical research. They had been leading it. Their understanding of genetics, their research into cellular repair, their breakthrough treatments, all of it was gone. Dr. Yithkar contacted the medical board immediately. This is Dr. Yithkar on Babel 7. We have a crisis. The cancer treatment production has stopped completely. We cannot manufacture the cure without the human synthesis protocols. The response was swift and panicked. Doctor, we are receiving similar reports from medical facilities across the galaxy, not just cancer treatments. Pain medications, antibiotics, surgical procedures, all based on human research that is no longer available. In the depths of space, aboard the human colony ship, New Horizons, Dr. Ben Carter reviewed reports from their new settlements. The news was encouraging. 3 colonies had been established in the unexplored systems beyond the galactic rim, each one thriving. Population report, he asked Captain Amy Rodriguez. Colony Alpha has 12,000 residents and is completely self-sufficient. Colony Beta has 8,000 and has begun manufacturing operations. Colony Gamma has 5,000 and is focused on agricultural development. Ben nodded with satisfaction. Any contact from Council Space? Daily, sir. We are receiving hundreds of messages. Trade offers, diplomatic requests, even some threats. The Council is getting desperate. Ben was not surprised. The humans had known this would happen. They had spent years quietly documenting every system they maintained, every process they managed, every innovation they had contributed to galactic civilization. The Council had dismissed them as unimportant, but the humans had known better. Sir, Amy continued, we have also made contact with 3 new species in the outer systems. They are interested in trade and cooperation. This was the most exciting news. The humans had not just fled to empty space. They had discovered entire civilizations that existed beyond the Council's knowledge. The crystalline beings of the Architect, worlds, the energy-based entities of the Chorus systems, and the collective intelligence of the Nexus planets. All of them were technologically advanced and eager for peaceful contact. Back in Council space, the crisis was deepening. High Counselor. Threndos called an emergency session as reports of system failures poured in from across the galaxy. The situation is getting worse, announced Security Chief Vexron. The human-patrolled trade routes have become hunting grounds for pirates. Without human security forces, merchant vessels are being attacked daily. How is that possible? Threndos demanded, we have defense fleets. Sir, the human patrol ships were not just military vessels. They were intelligence gatherers. Their presence alone deterred criminal activity. Pirates knew that human ships carried advanced sensors and quantum communication arrays. They avoided those routes entirely. Trade Administrator Zeftok stood up, his voice shaking with fear. High Counselor, we need to face the truth. The humans were not just participants in our civilization. They were the foundation of it. Their technology, their knowledge, their expertise, we took it all for granted. What are you saying? Threndos asked. I'm saying that without humans, galactic civilization is collapsing. Food shortages, medical crises, security failures, technological breakdowns, all because we treated them as inferior. The council chamber erupted in arguments. Some representatives blamed the humans for abandoning their responsibilities. Others blamed the council for driving them away. But the facts were undeniable. The galaxy was in crisis, and it was getting worse every day. On the agricultural world of Ceres Prime, Farmer Colvin watched his crops dying. The automated irrigation systems had failed, and he did not know how to fix them. The systems were human-designed, with quantum processors that managed water distribution across the entire planet. The plants are dying, his wife told him. Half. Our harvest will be lost. Colvin looked at the vast fields that fed 3 star systems. Without the irrigation systems, the planet could not support its population. Millions of people depended on food from Ceres Prime, and that food supply was disappearing. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On manufacturing worlds, production lines stopped because human-designed robots could not be repaired. On research stations, experiments failed because human computer systems were locked or broken. On terraformed planets, environmental controls malfunctioned because human engineers were no longer there to maintain them. The Galactic Council had treated humans as junior partners, useful but replaceable. Now they were learning that humans had been the glue that held galactic civilization together. Their quiet efficiency, their problem-solving skills, their innovative thinking, all of it had been keeping the galaxy running smoothly. Ambassador Kethver stood again at the observation deck of Nexus Prime, watching the chaos in the shipping lanes. Without human traffic coordination, cargo ships collided regularly. Without human logistics software, deliveries were delayed or lost entirely. Without human merchant vessels, entire trade routes had become economically unviable. Computer, calculate the economic impact of human withdrawal. He said. The numbers appeared on his screen, and Kethver felt his stomach drop. The galaxy was losing billions of credits every day. Food shortages were causing unrest on dozens of worlds. Medical emergencies were becoming disasters without human treatments. Security failures were spreading chaos through the outer systems. The humans had departed quietly, without violence or threats, but their absence was louder than any declaration of war. They had taken with them not just their ships and their people, but the very foundation of galactic prosperity, and the worst part was that the Council had no idea how to get them back. 6 months after the human departure, the galaxy was falling apart. What had started as minor inconveniences had become major disasters. The economic collapse that Trade Administrator Zeftok had predicted was now a harsh reality on the industrial World of Forge Prime, factory owner Malter stood in his empty production facility. The assembly lines that had once manufactured starship components were silent. The human-designed robots that had worked around the clock for decades had shut down one by one. "Sir, we have lost another production unit," his chief technician reported. "The quantum processors are giving error codes we cannot understand." Malta looked at the massive machines that had made him wealthy. Each robot cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. Now they were just expensive metal sculptures. "What about the backup systems?" "Sir, the backups are even more complex. The humans integrated quantum computing with biological processors. We do not have the knowledge to maintain them." The irony was bitter. Malter had always complained about human workers, saying they were too expensive and too demanding. He had been thrilled when human engineers designed robots to replace them. Now he realized that the humans had made themselves irreplaceable in a different way, as the only ones who could keep the robots working across the galaxy. On the research station Babel 7, Dr. Yithkar faced her own nightmare. The plague that had been spreading through the outer rim colonies was now reaching the core worlds. 17 different species were affected, and the death toll was climbing every day. "Status report on the cure research," she demanded from her. Dr. Villani, her senior researcher, looked exhausted. "We have tried everything. The plague affects cellular metabolism in ways we do not understand. The human research files contain the key to nanobotic treatment, but without access to their data, we are working blind." "What about the samples we have?" "The human nanobots are too sophisticated for us to reproduce. They use quantum entanglement to target specific cellular structures. We cannot even understand how they work, let alone make new ones." Dr. Yithkar felt the weight of millions of lives on her shoulders. The plague was spreading faster than they could treat it. Without human medical technology, entire worlds would die. Meanwhile, on the peaceful world of Haven, Commander Susan Blake watched the sunrise over humanity's newest colony. The settlement was thriving beyond their wildest dreams. 50,000. Humans now called Haven home, and the population was growing every day. "Daily report?" she asked her deputy, Colonel Steve Mitchell. "Excellent news, Commander. The agricultural domes are producing surplus food. The manufacturing centers are at full capacity. And our exploration teams have discovered 3 more habitable worlds in the sector." Susan smiled. The humans had not just survived their exodus from Council space, they had flourished. Free from Council restrictions, human innovation had exploded. New technologies, new settlements, new discoveries, all happening at a pace that would have been impossible under Council oversight. "What about communications from Council space?" "We are receiving dozens of messages daily. Some are trade offers, others are diplomatic requests. But we are also getting some interesting ones from our old allies." Susan reviewed the messages on her tablet. The Altarian Collective, humanity's oldest trade partners, were pleading for help. Their manufacturing systems were failing without human maintenance. The Peaceful Worlds Coalition was offering humanity full membership and voting rights. Even some individual council members were secretly requesting human assistance. "Sir," Colonel Mitchell continued, "we have also been contacted by the new species we discovered. The architects want to establish formal diplomatic relations. The chorus entities are interested in technology exchange. The Nexus Collective is offering to share their quantum communication networks. This was the most remarkable development. The humans had not just found empty space beyond the galactic rim. They had discovered an entire community of advanced civilizations that had been hidden from the Council. These species were not primitive or hostile. They were sophisticated, peaceful, and eager for cooperation. Back in Council space, the military was discovering its own dependence on human innovation. Admiral Crixman of the Hegemony Defense Force stood in the command center of his flagship, watching tactical displays that no longer made sense. "Status report on fleet operations," he ordered. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Kexvar, looked nervous. "Sir, fleet efficiency has dropped by 40%. The human-designed coordination systems are failing." Ship captains are reporting navigation errors, communication delays, and targeting malfunctions. How is this possible? We have the best military technology in the galaxy. Sir, the humans quietly upgraded our systems over the past 20 years. Their AI algorithms managed fleet formations, their quantum processors coordinated attacks, their sensor networks provided battlefield intelligence. Without regular updates from human engineers, the systems are becoming unreliable. Admiral Crixvan realized with horror that his supposedly advanced fleet was actually dependent on human technology. The humans had been so subtle about their improvements that most officers never noticed the upgrades. Now, without human support, the galaxy's defense forces were becoming ineffective. The situation was even worse in the outer systems. Pirate Lord Vexter had been quick to exploit the chaos. His raiding fleets now controlled trade routes that had been safe for centuries. "Report from the raiding crews," he demanded from his lieutenant. "Excellent hunting, sir." "The merchant vessels are defenseless without human escort ships. We have captured 12 cargo haulers this week alone," Vexter laughed. The humans were better police than the Council ever realized. Their patrol ships were everywhere, watching everything. Now the space lanes are open territory. The pirates were not just stealing cargo. They were disrupting the few trade routes that were still functioning. Fear was spreading among merchant crews, making the economic crisis even worse on the Councils. Emergency Management Station, Crisis Coordinator Thelmos tried to manage disasters that were beyond his experience. His screen showed problems across the galaxy, food shortages, medical emergencies, security failures, economic collapse. "Priority alert from Kepler 442b, his aide announced. "The mining colony is requesting immediate evacuation. Their life support systems have failed completely." "What about the atmospheric processors?" "Sir, they have been offline for 2 months. The colony has been running on emergency power, but that is now exhausted." Thelmos authorized the evacuation, knowing it would cost millions of credits and destroy the mining operation. The same scene was playing out across the galaxy. Colonies that had been profitable for decades were being abandoned because human technology could not be maintained. "Sir," his aide continued, "we have also received reports of food riots on 7 worlds. The agricultural systems are failing, and supply ships are not arriving on schedule." The crisis was spreading faster than the Council could respond. Every solution they tried revealed new problems. Every emergency they addressed exposed more dependencies on human technology and expertise. Dr. Ben Carter, now serving as humanities science advisor, studied intelligence reports from Council space. The news was grim, but not surprising. The humans had known this would happen. They had spent years documenting every system they maintained, every innovation they had contributed. "Captain Rodriguez," he said to his colleague, "the Council is finally understanding what they lost." "Are you feeling sorry for them?" Amy asked. "Not sorry, but concerned. The plague is spreading. The economic collapse is causing riots. If the Council civilization fails completely, billions of innocent people will die." "What do you think we should do?" Ben considered the question carefully. "We wait. The Council needs to learn that cooperation is not the same as domination. When they are ready to treat us as equals, we can discuss helping them." The human colonies continued to thrive while the galaxy burned. It was a harsh lesson, but a necessary one. The Council had treated humans as inferior for too long. Now they would learn what equality really meant. The galaxy was discovering that some bridges, once burned, could only be rebuilt with mutual respect. 1 year had passed since the human departure, and the Galactic Council was desperate. High Counselor Threndos stood before the emergency assembly, looking at representatives from 47 species. Many of them appeared tired and stressed. Some worlds were no longer able to send representatives because their governments had collapsed. "Fellow counselors," Threndos began, "we face the greatest crisis in our history. The human withdrawal has created problems we never imagined. It is time to take unprecedented action." Ambassador Larisith of the Peaceful Worlds Coalition stood up. She was the only council member who had voted against removing human rights. A year ago, now her words carried special weight. High Counselor, I propose we authorize a search mission to locate humanity and negotiate their return. We must admit our mistakes and make things right. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some representatives were angry that they had to beg humans to return. Others worried that admitting fault would encourage other species to make demands. But the facts were undeniable. The galaxy was dying without human expertise. Trade Administrator Zeftok presented the latest economic data. Galactic trade is down 60%. 17 colonies have been abandoned. Food production has dropped by half. Medical supply shortages are causing humanitarian disasters. We cannot survive much longer without human technology. After 3 days of debate, the Council voted to approve the search mission. Ambassador Lyricith would lead a diplomatic fleet to find humanity and negotiate their return. It was the first time in Council history that they had sent a mission. To beg another species for help, the search fleet consisted of 12 ships, equipped with the most advanced tracking technology the Council possessed. They followed the faint trail of human jump signatures toward the galactic rim, into regions that had never been explored. Captain Kelder of the lead ship studied the sensor readings with growing amazement. Ambassador, we are detecting massive energy signatures ahead. These readings suggest extensive space construction. How extensive? Lyricith asked. Comparable to our largest orbital cities, but these structures are completely unknown to our databases. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates where human signals had last been detected. What they found took their breath away. A massive space station hung in the void, clearly of human construction but using technologies the Council had never seen. Advanced defensive platforms surrounded it, and dozens of ships moved in organized patterns before the Council fleet could react. They were intercepted by a sleek human patrol ship. Captain Amy Rodriguez appeared on their communication screen, her expression professional but cold. Council vessels, you are approaching sovereign human space. State your purpose. Ambassador Lyricith stepped forward. Captain, I am Ambassador Lyricith, representing the Galactic Council. We request permission to meet with human leadership for urgent diplomatic discussions. Amy studied the Council ships for a long moment. Stand by for escort to the diplomatic station. You will follow our ships precisely. Any deviation will be considered hostile. The Council delegation was taken to an ancient space station that orbited a nearby star. The structure was clearly not human-built, but had been restored and expanded with human technology. As they docked, Lyricith noticed other alien ships she did not recognize. Dr. Carl Newman, now serving as humanity's chief science officer, met the Council delegation in the station's main conference room. The chamber was impressive, with crystal walls that seemed to pulse with inner light. But it was the other occupants that shocked the Council. Representatives, 3 completely unknown alien species sat around the conference table. Crystalline beings that appeared to be made of living diamond, energy entities that shifted between solid and gaseous forms, and insectoid creatures that moved in perfect synchronization. Ambassador Lyricith, Carl said formally, welcome to Harmony Station. These are our allies from beyond the rim. The architects, he gestured to the crystal beings, the chorus entities and representatives of the Nexus Collective. Lyricith tried to hide her amazement. Dr. Newman, we had no idea. Other civilizations existed in this region. There are many things the Council never knew, Carl replied. These species have been watching galactic civilization for centuries. They chose not to make contact because they found the Council's attitudes toward other species troubling. One of the crystal beings spoke, its voice like wind chimes. We observed how the Council treated humans. It confirmed our decision to remain hidden. The energy entity flickered as it communicated. Humans were the first Council species to treat us as equals rather than subjects to be conquered or controlled. Lyricith felt her heart sink. Even unknown species had judged the Council and found them lacking. Dr. Newman, we have come to ask for humanity's help. The galaxy is in crisis. Carl nodded grimly. We know. Our intelligence networks keep us informed about conditions in Council space. The plague has reached the core worlds. The economic collapse is causing wars. Millions are dying. Then you know why we need your help. Human medical technology could stop the plague. Human systems could restore trade. Human expertise could save our civilization. And what does the Council offer in return? Carl asked. Lyriceth had prepared for this question, but the answer still felt inadequate. Full species rights. Equal representation, a permanent seat on the Council. Access to all Council territory and technology. Carl exchanged glances with the alien representatives. Ambassador, those are things you should have offered years ago. They are not compensation for our help. They are basic rights you denied us. The negotiations continued for days. The Council delegation toured human settlements and saw their thriving civilization. 12 star systems now housed human colonies, all connected by advanced communication networks and protected by defensive fleets. Captain Susan Blake showed them the agricultural worlds where humans were experimenting with new farming techniques. Dr. Ben Carter demonstrated medical facilities where human researchers worked alongside alien scientists to develop revolutionary treatments. We have not been idle, Susan explained. Free from Council restrictions, human innovation has exploded. We have made breakthroughs in quantum physics, biological engineering, and space exploration that would have been impossible under Council oversight. The most shocking revelation came when they visited the outer colonies. Commander Jake Morrison, now Admiral of the Human Defense Force, showed them star maps that revealed the true scope of human expansion. We have explored 30 star systems beyond the rim, he explained. We have found evidence of ancient civilizations, discovered new forms of life, and established trade relationships with 7 different species. The galaxy is much larger and more diverse than the Council ever realized. The Council delegation was overwhelmed. In just 1 year, humanity had built an interstellar civilization that rivaled the Council in size and surpassed it in technological advancement. The species they had dismissed as inferior had become their equals, but the negotiations stalled when humanity presented their terms. They would return to help with the crisis, but not as Council subjects. They demanded the right to maintain their independence, to keep their alliance with the Rim species, and to establish their own sphere of influence. These terms would fundamentally change the structure of galactic government, Lyriceth protested. Yes, Carl agreed. The old system failed. It was based on dominance rather than cooperation. If we return, it will be to help build something better. The debate was interrupted by urgent news from Council space. The plague had mutated and was now spreading to species that had previously been immune. The death toll was climbing exponentially. Without immediate intervention, entire worlds would be lost. Lyriceth faced an impossible choice. Accept humanity's terms and transform galactic civilization, or watch billions die while defending a system that had already failed. The weight of countless lives pressed down on her as she considered her options. The clock was ticking, and every hour of delay meant more deaths. The Council had wanted to save their pride, but pride would not cure the plague or restore their collapsed economy. The question was no longer whether they needed humanity's help. The question was whether they were willing to pay the price for it. The negotiation room on Harmony Station had become the most important place in the galaxy. Ambassador Lyriceth sat across from President Helen Carter, humanity's elected leader, while representatives from 7 different species watched the historic discussion that would determine the fate of billions. Ambassador, Helen said calmly, we understand your urgency. The plague has reached critical levels. Our medical teams are prepared to help immediately. But we need your agreement to our terms first. Lyriceth looked at the crystal beings, the energy entities, and the other species that had become humanity's allies. These civilizations possessed technologies that could revolutionize galactic society. The Council had been so focused on controlling humans that they had missed the opportunity to meet these remarkable species. President Carter, your terms would completely restructure galactic government. The Council has governed for 3,000 years. Change of this magnitude could cause chaos. Helen leaned forward, her expression serious but understanding. Ambassador, your current system is already causing chaos. Look at the reports from Council Space. Wars over food supplies, medical disasters, economic collapse. The old way is not working. Dr. Carl Newman activated a holographic display showing the latest intelligence from Council Space. The images were disturbing. Refugee? Ships fleeing dying worlds, hospitals overflowing with plague victims, riots in major cities as food supplies ran out. The plague has now infected 43 different species, Carl explained. Our projections show that without immediate intervention, the death toll will reach 1 billion within 6 months. Entire civilizations could be wiped out. The weight of those numbers hung heavy in the room. Larissa thought about her own homeworld, where the plague had just been detected. Her family, her friends, her entire people were at risk. What exactly are you proposing? She asked. Helen stood and walked to a large display showing a new star map. We propose the Galactic Federation. Not a council that rules over species, but a partnership where every civilization has equal voice. Humans will rejoin galactic society as founding partners, not subjects. The Rim species would also join, added one of the crystal beings. We bring technologies that could solve problems the Council has struggled with for centuries. Faster than light, communication, advanced energy systems, new medical treatments. And we offer our collective knowledge, said the insectoid representative. Our species has mastered biological engineering. We can help terraform worlds, cure diseases, and improve food production. Larissa realized the full scope of what was being offered. Not just human help, but an alliance with multiple advanced civilizations. The galaxy could become more prosperous and advanced than ever before, but it would require the Council to give up their control. I need to contact the Council, she said finally. This decision is too important for me to make alone. The emergency council session was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives attended virtually from across council space, many calling in from refugee ships or emergency shelters. The plague was spreading so fast that normal government functions had almost stopped. Hi. Councillor Threndos looked exhausted as he addressed the assembly. Ambassador Lyrisith has presented us with humanity's terms. We must vote immediately. Every hour we delay, more people die. The debate was intense but brief. The economic data was clear, the medical crisis was urgent, and the military situation was desperate. Some representatives argued for pride and tradition, but most recognized the harsh reality. Trade Administrator Zeftok, whose homeworld was now under quarantine, spoke for many when he said, "We can discuss governmental structure after we save our people. Right now, we need human help more than we need our dignity." The vote was overwhelming. 42 species voted to accept humanity's terms. Only 3 voted against and 2 abstained. The old Galactic Council was dissolved and the new Galactic Federation was born. The response was immediate. Human medical ships jumped into Council space within hours of the agreement. Dr. Lisa Martinez, now leading the humanitarian mission, established treatment centers on the worst affected worlds. Deploy the nanobotic treatments immediately, she ordered her medical teams. Priority goes to worlds with the highest infection rates. The human medical technology was more advanced than the Council had realized. The nanobots not only cured the plague, but also repaired damage it had caused. Patients who had been dying were healthy within days. On the industrial world of Forge Prime, human engineers worked alongside local technicians to restart the manufacturing systems. The robots that had been silent for months came back to life as human quantum processors were installed. The production lines are operating at 120% of previous capacity, reported factory owner Malter to his workers. The humans have upgraded our systems beyond their original specifications. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human agricultural experts helped restore food production. Human security forces cleared the pirate-infested trade routes. Human AI systems rebuilt the economic networks that had collapsed, but the most remarkable change was the integration of the Rim species. The crystal beings shared their energy technologies, providing clean power to worlds that had relied on polluting systems. The energy entities helped establish instantaneous communication, networks that connected the entire galaxy. The collective species offered biological solutions to environmental problems that had plagued civilizations for centuries. Admiral Jake Morrison, now commanding the combined Federation fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship as it patrolled the restored trade routes. The ship itself was a marvel of cooperation, combining human engineering with alien technologies. "Status report?" he requested from his multi-species crew. "All shipping lanes are secure, sir," reported his Altarian. Tactical officer. "Pirate activity has dropped to zero. The criminals cannot match our combined technologies. Economic indicators show trade volume at 150% of pre-crisis levels," added his Thaxian communications officer. "The new trade networks are more efficient than anything previously achieved." Jake smiled with satisfaction. The Federation fleet was not just more powerful than the old Council forces, it was more united. Species that had once been suspicious of each other now worked together toward common goals. 5 years later, the transformation was complete. The galaxy had not just recovered from the crisis, it had become something entirely new. The Federation headquarters on Harmony Station buzzed with activity as representatives from over 70 species worked together on projects that spanned the galaxy. Dr. Helen Carter, now serving as the first human High Chancellor of the Federation, walked through the station's corridors. The sight never failed to amaze her. Children of dozens of different species played together in the recreation areas. Scientists from multiple worlds collaborated on research projects. Artists from various cultures created works that reflected their shared heritage. "Daily report?" she asked her assistant, a young Keplerian named Valtar. "Excellent news, Chancellor. The environmental restoration project on Kepler 442b is complete. The world is now fully habitable without artificial atmosphere processors. The new terraforming techniques developed by our collective species have been successful beyond all projections." Helen nodded, remembering when that world had been evacuated during the crisis. Now it was not just restored but improved, supporting twice its previous population in perfect environmental balance. What about the exploration missions? The Deep Space Survey teams have discovered 12 new habitable worlds this month. Contact has been established with 3 more alien civilizations, all of whom are interested in joining the Federation. The galaxy continued to grow and prosper. The crisis that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization had instead transformed it into something better. The Federation was not perfect, but it was based on cooperation rather than domination, on mutual respect rather than control. Helen thought about the journey that had brought them here. Humanity's quiet departure had forced the galaxy to recognize what they truly valued. Sometimes the greatest act of leadership was knowing when to step away, allowing others to understand what they were losing. The final lesson of the crisis was clear. No species, no matter how advanced, could thrive alone. True strength came from diversity, from bringing different perspectives and abilities together toward common goals. The galaxy had learned that cooperation was not just about working together. It was about recognizing that every civilization, no matter how different, had something irreplaceable to offer. And in that recognition, they had built something greater than any of them could have achieved alone.